All right, back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing yet another beer from the Imprint Beer Company, and they are out of Hatfield, Pennsylvania, and this is their Tears and Shivers. So this is a nitrogen-infused ESB ale that comes in at 5.3% alcohol by volume. No IBUs listed. Time of review, this can is just over 4 months old. So when it comes to Imprint, typically the beers that you see from them and that I have reviewed on the channel is the heavily fruited sours, like their Schmoogy series. They do a lot of like pastry stouts and hazy beers and whatnot. However, a beer from them I reviewed, I think it was a couple years ago, was their Mild Enthusiasm. It was an English mild that was in a nitro can. And it was fun to see something different like that from them reach distro. I enjoyed that one, although the body was very thin and watery, but the rest of the beer was good and the nitro kind of mimicked the cask effect. So when I saw this one, I was like, you know what, I got to give this one a go now as well. You got an English ESB, and I'm here for it. So we're going to see what this one's like. I'm going to crack it open, pour it in a glass. I just grabbed the New Belgium glass. Should be big enough to fit all of the liquid. We will see. Hopefully it doesn't explode. So here we go. Looking all right, and we'll give it a hard pour because it is nitrogen. But I don't know if it's going to, be very similar to like a Guinness or something. Yeah, as you can see, and of course I spilled some down the side, as you do. As you do. Forgot the paper towels, believe it or not. So we're just gonna go like that. And it really didn't cascade, unfortunately, is what it is. But we're gonna see how this one is. When I see like an English style in nitrogen, I'm feeling, they're trying to mimic again the cask effect, drinking it on cask. And I gotta grab them whenever I see them. So here we are. So anyway, that has this beautiful like burnt orange color. I can see the shadow of my hand, but can't really make it through. Hold it up to a light. Yeah, it has like a haziness to it. Has about a 3 finger of this straight up tan colored head. Looks kind of soap sudsy, but creamy at the same time. Really not going anywhere. As you can tell, it didn't really do the whole nitrogen pour where it cascades and whatnot, but it is what it is. But it looks nice, I think, in this glass. Looks really nice. So anyway, let's get a nose on it. The only issue with nitrogen beers, a lot of times the aroma's not that great. Yeah. So this has like a toasted kind of like, toasted white bread, a little bit of caramel, some kind of fruitiness, like a apple or a pear. Maybe yeah, you know what? Toasted bread, but more maybe to the biscuity side of things than bready. Touch of like a nuttiness maybe. Yeah, as I keep on smelling it, the malt is kind of coming to the forefront. But there's also this like floral kind of earthy hop note. Yeah. So an ESB is what? An English special or strong bitter. It's basically a bigger version of their regular English bitters. More often than not, you have a little bit more of like a malt character, a little bit more of a hop character. Supposed to be somewhat balanced. And I'm kind of getting that in the nose. It has a big maltiness to it, but then the hop character kind of rounds it out. Yeah, it smells pretty good. Let's get into it. Cheers, everyone. That's nice. I will say that the body of this one isn't as thin as and watery as that Mild Enthusiasm one. That one, I thought the mouthfeel was proper. This has, because it's the nitrogen, 30% nitrogen, 7% nitrogen, 30% CO2. A lot of people who drink nitrogen think it's flat, and when it's really not, it's just lightly carbed, and obviously the nitrogen produces that smooth, creamy sensation. So they're trying to mimic the cask, which is, again, lighter on the mouthfeel. That's what's happening here. This has a mild carbonation. It's very smooth, and it has a creaminess to it, softness to it. But with that Mild Enthusiasm, it was really thin and watery. This, higher side of light body, lower side of medium. So it might be a little bit thinner than the style would dictate, especially at 5.3%. But it's not as noticeable, or it's not a detriment, where I think when I drink an English mild or an English dark mild, I don't want it to be thin and watery. It still has to have a little bit of substance to the body. So with this, I think it's appropriate, and it's nice. And look at that lacing, beautiful. But the taste itself, forefront, toasted, like a toasted biscuit, more so than anything. Has a biscuity, kind of like toasty feeling right at the forefront. Little bit of caramel and toffee. Then that kind of turns into like this red apple skin, maybe the core of a red apple, a touch of a pear. On the sides of the tongue, I'm getting a touch of like a nuttiness. The second half of the palate is where the actual hops hit, and it has this earthy, floral kind of finish to it. Maybe a little bit of like a copper coin. Very easy to drink because of the nitro. Like I'm just I could, if I wasn't reviewing this one, I would just probably take huge sips and just be downing this because it's warm outside. This is very refreshing. This is a beer that if I was at an actual authentic like English pub, I would be crushing this and probably drinking pints of this and not thinking twice. It just has that, just, I don't know, it's just easy drinking nature to it. There's not much else going on. 5.3%, you really can't tell, although I can tell it's like a little bit bigger. I can tell this is not like, 4.5%. It just, I think it's well done. Now on the back of the palate, I just got a little bit of like a slight touch of like a Werther's Original, just a very slight touch on the back of the palate. This one finishes though mildly to moderately bitter. I'd say like smack dab in the middle, but it does have a pretty big dry finish as well. So quite balanced. And as I'm sitting here talking to you, like I want to go back for another sip because my mouth is pretty dry and that lingering bitterness is kind of sitting there. So this is really nice. I think it's very tough, in my opinion, for American breweries to kind of mimic classic English beer, especially because you don't see cask all that often in the US, and when you do, it's not properly done. You listen to a lot of the other beer tubers here on YouTube from the UK, and they'll tell you the same thing as like, it's not that easy to mimic. And I think with the nitrogen, they get close, but not all the way. But I would say just for a nitrogen or a nitro ESB, this is really well done. I do like ESBs. I've had quite a few in my life, but haven't reviewed a lot on the channel. So this is really resonating well. It's not amazing or anything, but I think it's pretty well done. So Imprint's Tears and Shivers from Imprint, Joe, you idiot. They're nitrogen-infused ESB ale. I am going to give this a high 4 out of 5 and go 4.1. I think this is very well done, especially from a brewery not known for, styles like this. They're known for all the hype styles. I think this is really well done from American Brewery, honestly. And I don't remember what I like or what I gave the mild enthusiasm, but I like this a little bit more than that beer, mostly because of the body. The flavors are pretty proper, and yeah, I dig this one. So I enjoyed it. Now, the problem with it is that I paid around $5 for that can. That's a lot of money. If you're buying a 4-pack of it, probably was like 18, 19 bucks here in the Buffalo, New York area. Now from the brewery, it might be more in the $14 to $16 realm, which is much more my speed. If I saw this for $14, $16, I'd be like, yeah, that's good value for what it is. It's nitrogen infused, whole 9, but for $5 a can, I wouldn't repurchase this, but it's fun to try. And if I see another English style from them that is nitrogen infused, I'd probably grab it just to review it, but I don't think I'd buy entire 4-packs. Again, your mileage may vary depending upon where you live, but yeah, $5 a can is pretty expensive. And then availability, I don't know with Imprint. They do have, I'm pretty sure they have a website. I don't know if there's a beer finder on there. Here in the Buffalo, New York area, we get a lot of their beers. Typically, they're schmoogies. They aforementioned schmoogies. They're pastry stouts. Sometimes you see hazies, but mostly the pastry stouts and the heavily fruited sour is what we see. So whenever I see something like this, it's like, oh, that's something different from Imprint. Let me grab it and review it. So if you've had this one before, post in the comment section. If not, what's your favorite ESB? If you're from over the pond in the UK and you drink a lot of ESBs and in classic English beers, is there anything I should look out for? I mean, I've had Fuller's ESB. I've had a couple other authentic, English ESBs that we get imported here, but it's not the same drinking on cask. It just isn't. It is what it is. So anyway, I said 5.3%. You really can't tell, but I do know it's a little bit bigger because I think the body would indicate it's not like sub 5%, but it is what it is. So anyway, I appreciate everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol. To the next one. Cheers.